Hi, this is Bill Fisher. I'm going to do a short demo on creating a tween animation in Adobe Animate. The title of this little short animation is Mr. Bean Wakes Up. So as you see here, I have 3 layers of floor, which is just a line, and then a lower bean and an upper bean. The first thing I'm going to do is just lock all the layers. Then unlock the layer I'm going to work on, which is upper bean. I'm going to click the keyframe in the layer upper bean, and you see it captured it. I'm going to go to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and I'm going to call this symbol upper bean. Okay. Now this can be a graphic or a movie clip. I'm going to leave it a movie clip in case I want to tint it and colorize it later. The only time I need to use a graphic symbol is if that symbol is going to have a timeline inside of it, like maybe there's a looping animation inside the symbol. But we don't have that, so I'm going to use a movie clip. Okay, you can see that's a symbol because it has a blue box around it and a little centerpiece here. I'm going to lock that layer, unlock the lower bean, click its keyframe, and do the same thing. Modify, convert to symbol. I'll call this lower bean. Really important to name your layers in Adobe Animate because later on, if you get into situations where you need to be swapping symbols, you're going to need to understand what those symbol names are so you can swap them without having to guess at what it is that you're swapping. All right, so this is set up, and we are ready to do the rigging now. In order to rig this, I'm going to select the upper bean. I'm going to get my free transform tool, and I'm going to find the center point of where I think that rotation will be. That looks pretty good. And I will do the same thing with the lower bean. Find its rotation point. I think that's probably fine. And this character is now rigged. Let's take a look at this drawing now. See this one important decision that I made when I drew this bean, which is I did not put a stroke all the way around it. The reason I did that is because I wanted it to look like it was connected in here. Now the amount of rotation that this bean can have is limited by the overlap. Eventually it will break. You can see I have a little bit of a break right here. But this bean can move around a lot, as you can see. So it's a pretty good rig that way. It's pretty unusual to be able to move something around that much. I'm going to double click into it, and you can see how that's done there. I'll show you exactly how I did that. I'll put the line back by using the ink bottle tool that's hidden underneath the paint bucket tool. Make sure that this color is set to black. That's the stroke. I'll just go over here and do that. It's a little bit thicker. That's because the stroke size needs to be 5 and then set to no scale. That way, no matter what size this is, the stroke will always be. I will now get my eraser and set that to erase lines only right here. I can go in here and do something like this. And now I have a connected bean with a partial stroke, and that will allow me to rotate the two parts and make them look like they're still always connected. All right, let's get back into our scene so we can begin to wake up Mr. Bean here. So I'll click on scene 1 right there. First thing I'm going to do is put in a little bit of a pause. Okay, and I'll go down about 15 frames and do that. And I'm going to select a row and insert keyframe. I right-clicked on that row, got my pop-up. So that's a pause. I always want to have a little bit of pause before anything happens, or at least typically. Now, first, what Bean's going to do is just kind of wake up just a little bit. Okay, so I'll go down here about 5 frames and insert another keyframe. And again, I'm always doing columns. Even though I'm not moving anything, I just kind of like to do the columns. Right here, I'm just going to have Mr. Bean raise his head up just a little bit. Okay, so I only moved this part. I didn't move this part, but once again, I went ahead and did a column because I may want to come back and move that later. And I can just stay really organized that way. Okay, so he wakes up a little bit. And then I think he's going to drop his head back down. So I'll put a column here. Control-click, insert a keyframe. And we will put the head back down. Okay. Then another little pause. Put a keyframe in here. And now he's going to slowly lift up his head. Okay, I'm going to go all the way down here to 100. Insert a keyframe. Okay. And here, I'm going to do kind of a bigger move. So I'm going to select the whole Mr. Bean. I'm going to go here and figure out like where he would rotate from, where he's connected to the floor. I'm going to say that's going to be right about there. Yeah, that's not too bad. Now let's put a tween in here and see what we have. Okay, so I'm going to select a column. I'm going to control-click and create a classic tween. And he's kind of rocking up like that. I think I probably want to then go to, about here. Insert a keyframe. And I think I'll do a little bit different rotation point there to get him the rest of the way up. Okay. I might as well go ahead and put a tween in here right now. Okay. So there's Mr. Bean waking up a little bit. I'll put a classic tween there. Wakes up a little bit. Okay, now that I have my basic animation laid in, which looks like this, I can go through and add some easing. Sometimes I'll do this just to add character and some more natural movement. Sometimes I'll do it because I want some physics, like some gravity, acceleration, deceleration, that sort of thing. I think we just want to add a little character to this bean. So I'm going to add some easing. I'm going to click anywhere here on the upper bean, tween, and I'm going to go over here where it says classic ease and type in -100. That's the maximum amount of easing in, which means it's going to be slow at the beginning and faster at the end. So essentially it will accelerate. Lower bean, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do +100 and that will decelerate. In other words, it will start out faster and get slower. Now let's see what happens. That's a little more natural way to wake up, I think. Let's watch the whole thing. Oh, nope. And yes. And that is the end of our demo for today. Thanks for watching.